You started the press conference by saying a lot of people aren't going to know why I'm here, so why are you at the Detroit Auto Show?
Well, most people think, still believe, obviously, and rightfully so, that BlackBerry makes handsets. And it's very famous making handsets. In fact, way back when BlackBerry made pagers, and then it said development of handset, we have been in the last 4 years consistently investing in area of like the so-called IoT area, very broad statement. Everybody's in IoT. But in our case, we're very focused on some of the vertical industry, especially the auto industry. So we have been providing a lot of software, mostly from the safety side, into entertainment and safety, into various different cars. In fact, we have 60 million cars that today running around the world and on the road using BlackBerry software.
Why is it important when it comes to cars to be concerned about cybersecurity now?
Good question. You probably have read and heard about autonomous vehicle could be hacked, or connected car could be hacked. Everything that connected to the internet could definitely be hacked. So in the government, if you use the government lingo, it's a safety issue, and it's also a hacked car. Unfortunately, it's like a weapon. And so the government are very interested, the industry are very interested. An autonomous driven car has an awful lot of responsibility. A, you have to keep the passengers safe. That's the #1 priority. And B, you have to keep the pedestrians safe and other passengers safe. So there are a lot of algorithmic things, a lot of technology involved in that, including things like the machine has to learn and adapt and all these things. All right? So it's paramount important that all the vehicle in the future, especially the one that drives itself, has to follow a certain set of rules and it becomes safe.
I've read comparisons to help people understand what your QNX software and other things do in cars. It's sort of like Microsoft is for a PC, the operating system. How would you explain in very simple terms, because there are so many computer programs in cars already, for people to understand what role BlackBerry is playing in vehicles?
Right, good question. So this got a little complex, but I'll try to keep it succinct as possible. A car has about 100 million lines of code. Well, I'll give you a general idea of what 100 lines of code. You know, a fighter plane has much less than that, probably 25 million lines of code. So the complexity, and then more importantly, it has so many different functions. Right? There are functions that manage the brakes, and a function manage the engine, have functions through the early warnings and lane changes and telematics and your cell phones and all, have so many different, some of them are very safety oriented. And it always comes from many different vendors, providers. So, for example, in our case, we will provide the security protocol of how things talk to each other inside a car. Other people will be maybe providing a dashboard, they may be providing a lane changing code, or and so forth and so on. So it's very important that you create a communication platform inside a car that connects
all the other
things safely, securely, and that's what we do.
Now, when you took over at BlackBerry, what is it, 5-6 years ago?
4 years.
4 years ago?
It feels about 50, but...
At that point, a lot of people were counting BlackBerry out. People were talking about BlackBerry being sold. You said that you were going to turn it around. When you look at the stock price just specifically, there's, it's still not where it was in 2008, 2009. How do you feel your success has been over the past 4 years?
Well, don't want to blow my own horn, but I think you will agree with me that 4 years ago, everybody will count BlackBerry out. And even if we're able to sell the company, it will be sold for a very small amount of money. My job is to not only turn it around from a financial point of view, meaning the stock gets higher, the shareholders get a little better return, not only on that, but to create a future that we could be iconic again. And this is one of those. Not only cars, okay? I think everything you hear about cars is replicable in other so-called vertical. It could be in the medical equipment world. It could be in oil and gas and energy world. It could be in other part of the transportation food chain. And so the list goes on. So I think we are now creating a core technology and a business platform that could scale. It's scale in different industry, and it's scale up by creating more and more stuff. And it also scale geographically, because BlackBerry has been a very North American and European, West Europe centric brand, and rightfully so. I think a lot of the stuff that we're doing could scale literally around the world, including developing country. So I think from that perspective, we now have a strategy, we're making money, we're safe as a company, stocks have gone up, I think double from last year, and we still need to execute, a lot of work to do, but I feel good about where we are.
What about the arguments I've read that this is an opportunity to put some value back in the company and that a future sale could be possible?
That's always a tricky question to answer, because I'm a public company CEO, officer. I serve for the shareholders. I believe, personally, there's a long, long way for us to create more values. So it's not fully valued, so I wouldn't, my advice to the shareholder is don't do anything yet, but if there's something more interesting, meaning that somebody write a very big check for the company because of the value we created. This whole thing is, I think it's very important to say, every day and I get up, I think about creating more value for the company, to make the company more valuable. A, we could be independent and we could grow, and the shareholder would get benefit from that. And B, if for some reason we stumble, and it could happen, right? And if for some reason we stumble, there's so much value built up that we don't have to, we don't have to sell at a low price, we could sell at a pretty good price.
And the final question, there's a lot of competition in the tech world with Silicon Valley and these massive companies pouring billions upon billions of dollars to develop the latest software. Do you feel like you guys are right up there competing, and how do you compete with the Googles and all those other folks that are in the game already as well?
Interesting. So the part of the strategy we carve out, remember we're focused on safety and communications, so secure communications, right? So we have built up such a portfolio of partnership, and I will refer you back to just the last 6 months. Qualcomm, that we're going to embed a lot of stuff in their chipset. NVIDIA just last week said they're going to use our operating system as the platform for their autonomous driving. Delphi, Bosch, most recently Baidu, and the list goes on. Tata Motors, today Jaguar, Land Rover. So you can see that we are winning. And so if it's entirely like you said, only the big boys win, I suggest that we're the big boys in that sector. So I'm comfortable with our posture. As long as we make ourselves, execute to working with partners and working with partners well. Ford set their stage earlier when Ford Motor Company, A, doesn't need to do that, and B, normally don't. And they see a lot of values in what we provide, and we are great partners of ours. And so I don't feel bad about our competitive posture, but anything could happen. Anything could happen.